Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tropical Forest Building at Franklin Park Zoo in Boston. Whether you're coming from far away or from just around the corner, I hope you're having a good day and that you'll enjoy seeing our pygmy hippos this morning. We'll be talking about them for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll take some questions. So if you have particular questions, feel free to start putting those in the chat. Throughout the short presentation, you can put your comments or your questions in the chat. I can't promise to get to all of them, but we'll be talking about these wonderful, wonderful animals that are endangered species that we are taking care of. Right now, oh, there goes the baby. This baby is named Ptolemy. His mom is named Cleo. Clearly you can see the baby's the small one. And I'll try to follow what they're doing. Of course they're eating. And they get to choose what they do. So we'll see what they do. And a voice here, let me just very briefly say hello. Person talking, I'm John Anderson. I'm the director of the education department here at Zoo New England, which includes both Franklin Park Zoo and the Stone Zoo up in Stoneham, Mass, just north of Boston. And we're not focusing on me, we're focusing on the pygmy hippos. So for those of you just joining, welcome again to the Tropical Forest Building at Franklin Park Zoo in Boston. And let's see. So they are eating some what we call browse. These are branches and leaves. And also they eat hay, Timothy hay, and alfalfa hay. And they also get herbivore pellets, a high-quality grain. On rare occasions, we'll also give them a special treat like a whole watermelon or a whole pumpkin, which they enjoy. They can also sometimes have fruit treats, other fruit treats. In the wild, they would be eating mostly at night in the forest. They wander through the West African forests in areas like Liberia and the Ivory Coast. Though that region of Africa is home to pygmy hippos in the wild. And so they mostly eat leaves and grasses and fruits they can find on the ground. Okay. One of the things you may know is they do like the water. And many of you probably know a lot about pygmy hippos, but not all of you. So let me just comment. These are relatives of the larger hippos, sometimes called the common hippo or the Nile hippo. These pygmy hippos are about a quarter of the size of those larger cousins, and pygmy hippos mostly eat on land, and they do spend a lot of time in the water. They're excellent in the water, but they come out on land quite a lot more than the Nile hippos do. I appreciate you joining us this morning. And again, for those of you that have just joined us, if you have particular questions, I encourage you to put those in the chat. I have a few comments that I want to make about how important the care is we give to these animals. And I do want to be able to answer at least some of your questions. I hope you have so many questions that I can't get to all of them, because I love curiosity. And there's so much to be curious about. There we go. My Zoom is now working excellent. Okay. So here we go. I've been waiting to be joined this morning. I'm so happy to welcome Jonathan Hughes from MEFA to, he disappeared. I hope he'll come right back, because one of the things we want to do with this particular Zoo to You program is talk a little bit about long-term care, consistent care, and community care for animals and for children and for humans, not only non-human animals. So it's really exciting that we have this young pygmy hippo named Ptolemy. Ptolemy was born on October 5th of 2020, so just about 4 months ago or thereabouts. But one of the things I really want to encourage you to think about is how many years of planning it took for Ptolemy to join us in the world. The Zoo New England is part of something called the Species Survival Program. And just put a note in the chat if you've heard of the Species Survival Program, or if you haven't, just to give me an indication, or give us an indication of whether that's familiar to you. If it's not familiar, I want to note that the Species Survival Program is a coordinated effort by many zoos, including Zoo New England, to help protect threatened and endangered species. And each species has a group of staff. Each species has a group of staff that are really paying very close attention. So for the pygmy hippos, there's a group managing the species survival plan. And that group, many years ago, back in about 2009 or 2010, they decided that it would make sense for Cleo to have a mate. And that's Cleo, that's Ptolemy's mom. And her mate is Inocencio, who we have, and I'm going to hopefully be able to show Inocencio to all of you soon.
Hey, John,
so
how are you? I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, Jonathan, welcome. I'm going to call on you in just a second. So I'm thrilled to welcome Jonathan Hughes from the Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. I want to acknowledge that MEFA is sponsoring these Zoo to You programs. And Jonathan's joined us today because there are some commonalities between helping families to plan for college and education and helping animals to survive. And Jonathan, I was just talking a little bit about how, but the long-term planning for species survival program. Oh, look at so if you wanted to know, can pygmy hippos run? There's evidence of an answer. So Jonathan, would you say good morning and just say a couple words about long-term, the early planning?
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned a couple of common themes that college savings, which we work on, and caring for hippos. There might be some, and those are consistency, community, and early planning. And if you're interested in college savings at all, this is one of MEFA's core missions. We'll be posting information on the chat about that. So you asked about, was it early care that you asked about?
Early planning, yeah, early planning.
Early planning. Yeah, so when it comes to saving for college, I mean, the earlier the better. Yep. So you definitely want to use time to your advantage. In fact, to that end, there's a new program through MEFA and the Massachusetts Treasury called the Baby Steps Program, which helps families to save as early as possible. If you're interested in that, please check the comments and click on the link for that, and that's a great resource. But I love looking at these. Yeah, I love looking at these guys eating. I'm sorry, I had a little technical difficulties there, but have you talked about what they're eating at all yet?
I did mention it. I'll mention it again. They're in the wild. I did say that they tend to eat mostly on land. In the forest, they eat a lot of leaves and grasses and fruits they can find. Here, we are feeding them Timothy hay and alfalfa hay. We also feed them something we call browse. You can see some branches, and we can actually grow, we can prune local local bushes and trees that are appropriate for them, and we can give them this browse, which actually many of our herbivores can eat. And they also like lettuce, so we feed them romaine lettuce. And on a rare occasion, we'll give them a real treat like a whole pumpkin or a whole watermelon. One thing I'll note also is Ptolemy, you can see, is eating the browse right now. He's been nursing, he's nursing well. Cleo has been a really attentive mother, and she's been doing a great job with him. He's gained weight from his birth weight at about 13 pounds to now he's up to 66 pounds. That's from October 5th to very recently, last weighing. So that's what, roughly more than 4 times his original birth weight in about 4 months. So she's been doing a great job, and clearly he is starting to enjoy, let me call it adult food. So there's another theme that I want to encourage everyone that's listening to think about, and that is community. In order to have Ptolemy join us, in order for him to be born, I mentioned early planning in the species survival program. It's also important that we have a team of caregivers. Our animal care team is a wonderful group of people, very committed, and they work day in and day out to provide care, cleaning, and importantly, training. And training is important for our animals for 2 broad reasons. One is to help with their daily care, and another is to help with their medical care. And the process of training helps animals to build trust with their trainers. It enables us to give them a cue and have them move when we need them to. So if we need them to go to our behind the scenes area so that we can do cleaning and maintenance in their exhibit, they'll move voluntarily without stress. Training helps animals to learn to do things without being stressed. And then for medical care, it's also very important. So we can train our animals to do things like hold still while we press against them. So for example, or we poke them. For example, if we need to give a vaccination, it's really important that an animal be able to hold still, and so that we can administer that. Or if we need to draw a little blood for an annual physical checkup, just like for people, training helps us to prepare the animals so that they will not be stressed in those kinds of situations. And it takes a community of caregivers, from our daily animal care team to our veterinarians, to really do a good job caring for Cleo and caring for Inocencio, her mate, in order to have Ptolemy join us.
Yeah, and you mentioned community, and that's another thing that we see paralleled with college savings. We always tell parents, you don't have to do this all on your own. Get family and friends involved, just like Cleo and Ptolemy. And MEFA Fidelity can help you to do that if you want more information. And once again, we'll post that in the chat.
Thanks, Jonathan. The other theme that I've already alluded to, but I want to say really directly, and again, for all of you watching, I do encourage you to put questions in the chat. I'll try to answer some of those in a few minutes. So the other theme that I want to mention that the zoo cares a lot about is consistency. And I already said daily care, and it's so important that we provide daily care for all of our animals, and daily training, and something we call enrichment, which is about providing novel or unusual kinds of exhibit elements that will evoke natural behaviors, and a range of natural behaviors, so that their lives are supported in that way. So our consistent care is another theme. And Jonathan, I just want to invite you to mention consistency in terms of planning for education for our children, our human children also.
Yeah, that's a huge theme for us. You don't have to take on saving for college in its entirety at once, right? Save consistently a little bit, maybe every month, every week, whatever you can do, and it's going to go quite far indeed. So we can help you to do that at MEFA and Fidelity. And once again, our information is in the chat for you to look up if you're interested.
That's terrific. Yeah, it's, we all share the world. Most of us don't live with pygmy hippos day in and day out, but we care about pygmy hippos. We care about all the animals that we have here at Franklin Park Zoo, at Stone Zoo, and around the world. And that's one of the things I care about, and I invite and I ask that all of you who are viewing think about your own ability to support animal care. And in some cases, that may mean you work locally on habitats, planting plants that are good for native pollinators. That's a good local activity you can you can participate in, or many of you can participate in. And of course, it's important for species that don't live in our particular area of the world that we help provide financial support for our colleagues who are working to protect the wild areas they need. So thank you to everyone who's watching. I'm going to take some questions. But thank you all for your support for animals, both and for that matter, plants, both locally where you live and in other parts of the world. All right, I'm going to try and check out the chat and see if we can find. Yeah, that would be great.
So we had a good one from Christina, which was how much food does the baby hippo eat in a day?
Christina's asking how much the baby eats in a day. And for a detailed answer, I might have to get some help with that. But let me just mention that Cleo, the mom, she's eating around 6,000 calories a day. And Inocencio, the dad, is eating around 5,000 calories a day. So you can imagine, because she's nursing, she needs extra calories. So that makes sense. So I don't know the exact calories that Ptolemy is eating, the baby, and I don't know whether we can. We'll try and get that answer before we close. I'm going to move and see if we can take a look at Inocencio. And while I'm moving, I'm going to try to move not too fast. Inocencio's the father, and he's in a different exhibit. And so you might naturally say, why is he in a different exhibit? And the answer is that pygmy hippos lead solitary lives. They live alone. And so unlike their Nile hippo cousins that live in big groups, this species lives their lives mostly alone. So we keep them in separate exhibits because that's natural for them. Inocencio is about 9 years old. He was born in December of 2011. He came to Franklin Park Zoo in December of 2013. He was only 2. He wasn't mature yet. But I mentioned earlier, if you've just joined us, you wouldn't have heard this, but I mentioned that these animals are part of a species survival program and a species survival plan. And people chose that based on the genetic relationships that Inocencio would be a good mate for Cleo. And so this is the father, Inocencio, who was born in Chile. I'm not sure if I said that already. Okay, another question.
Sure. Jenna wanted to know what Ptolemy's weight is right now.
Jenna, the Ptolemy's weight right now is close to 66 pounds. And Ptolemy was 13 pounds when he was born. So if you know something about people, that would be a really big human baby. It's a healthy weight for a pygmy hippo. Oh, I'm going to go back because Ptolemy is right out front.
While we're watching, Chris asked, what is their lifespan?
Chris asked about the lifespan. Chris, great question. Thank you for asking that. Before I give you an answer, I encourage you to think about how would we figure out the lifespan of pygmy hippos. In order to do that, of course, we need to know a lot of pygmy hippos, and we need to know how long they live. And so, fortunately, we have some data, and so we can give a rough answer that the median age, or the average, is around 26 years. Now, Cleo, our mom, she's 28, so she's older than that average, but we hope she can definitely live into their 30s. So she's doing just fine. We hope she'll live for a whole bunch more years.
Laura had a good question. Can we do volunteer work to help care for the animals at the zoo?
Laura, thank you for your question about volunteering. We do have a wonderful volunteer program. Of course, COVID has gotten in the way, and we've had to slow down and reduce the numbers of, I'm sorry, I'm distracted because sometimes he will run across the exhibit. So if you are interested in volunteering, please look at the Zoo New England website and look for the volunteer opportunities and consider whether there's something that would be appropriate for your abilities and your schedule. I look forward to getting our volunteer program back to full operations with safety for COVID always in mind.
And are these hippos endangered?
Are these hippos endangered? Yes, absolutely. This is an endangered species, and that's why the species survival program is so important. It's why it's so important that we work with colleagues at other zoos across North America and beyond. As I mentioned, Inocencio came from Chile. So this is really an international effort to care for this species. All the pygmy hippos in human care, and with attention to what pygmy hippos need in their wild environments as well in Western Africa.
And Caitlin was wondering how much time they spend in the water in their exhibit.
Caitlin, how much time are they do they spend in the water? So they can spend a lot of time in the water. These guys have not been in the water yet, although maybe Ptolemy will go in, I don't know. They get to do what they want. We give them food, of course, but we do not make them go in the water or make them go on land. But I can tell you that yesterday morning I was watching Ptolemy, and he went in the water and looked like he was just delighted. He was rolling around and splashing. It looked like he was scratching on the bottom of the pool. They are great in the water, and they tend in the wild to spend a lot of time during the day in the water, and then at night they come up on land and walk through the forest and forage and eat. So they tend to be more active at night than in the daytime. Here they seem to be just as happy to be foraging in the daytime.
And will Ptolemy stay with his mom forever at the zoo?
Will Ptolemy stay forever with his mom? Pygmy hippos, babies usually stay for about a year with their moms. And this, again, I invite you and encourage you to think about, is that like people? Just imagine that a human baby would be ready to leave his or her mom in a year. It's actually quite remarkable, and different species are different. So pygmy hippos usually stay with their moms for around a year, and they gradually, depend less on milk from their mother and more browsing, eating, as you can see Ptolemy doing. So someday the species survival program will probably suggest that Ptolemy have a chance to have a mate, and so I don't know where that will be, but he may be moved to another place at some point. He won't stay with his mom forever. There he goes.
Ooh, look at him go.
Showing you how he runs. So other questions? Jonathan, again, we're going to wrap up in just a moment. I just really want to thank you. I want to thank everyone who's been paying attention this morning. Thank you for your concern and your interest in pygmy hippos and in the work that Zoo New England does. And thank you for caring for the children in your lives and planning for their well-being, caring for them day to day, and planning for their futures to be really enriched by education.
Well, thank you. I was looking forward to this all week, and I just wanted to say that MEFA is thrilled to sponsor the Zoo to You program. And if anybody has any questions about saving or paying for college at all, they can visit MEFA.org. But I'm looking forward to seeing Ptolemy and Cleo in person very soon. So.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. I gotta say, we're open. Come visit.
Yep.
You can do that. Thank you for reminding me to say to everyone, please do come visit, especially if you live, not too far away. There you go. There he goes. Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Come visit us for another Zoo to You soon, and have a wonderful day today.